Coming up here on Mountain News this morning, the President of the United States prepares to travel to most tornado-damaged areas of western Kentucky. And folks in our region gather at an eastern Kentucky park to make donations in order to help our neighbors in the western part of the state.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. I'm Dakota Makers. That's my name. I'm sorry. Okay. It's 6:01. I don't know what I'm saying. Woo, let's head over to Brandon so he can take it away. Brandon, good morning to you. I don't know anymore.
Listen, just give it to me, because I don't know what's going on with you, but let me take over here for a minute, because you're struggling this morning. Let's take a look at our temperatures as we head out the door here just after 6 o'clock, and they're pretty chilly out there in some spots. We're looking at 20s and 30s and even a couple of 40s out there. Wise, the warm spot at 43, but just down the road, one county over, Jonesville has the cool spot at 23 this morning. Across the state and region, a lot of 20s, 30s, and 40s out there in some areas, even down to Myrtle Beach at 43. Atlanta's at 40 this morning, 38 Louisville, Indianapolis too, Nashville's at 35. But you get back to the west there, just a little bit warmer in Springfield and Memphis this morning. 48 the average high, forecast high today 60, record high 72. Set back on this day in 1984. Dakota?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Governor Andy Beshear says it will take years to recover from what he says is the worst tornado outbreak in the state's history. Now, the governor says it may be weeks before we know the total amount of deaths and destruction. But as of now, he says the death toll increased by 10, now at 74. The hardest hit being Graves County at 20, Hopkins at 17, then Warren at 15. There's also people still not identified yet, including children as young as 5 months old. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what the governor had to say from the state capitol.
The governor says it may be weeks before we know the total number of those killed in this devastating round of 5 tornadoes that traveled 220 some miles from western to central Kentucky. But he now can say that there are at least 20 people killed in Graves County, 17 in Hopkins, 15 in Warren. There are still some unidentified, one as young as 5 months old.
I said this yesterday, there is not a lens big enough to capture the devastation.
Governor Beshear says the damage and destruction will be in the hundreds of millions of dollars in a recovery that'll last years, not weeks or months.
You go from grief to shock to being resolute, span of 10 minutes, and then you go back.
Support and help is pouring in from all over the country. Beshear says he believes FEMA broke a record in how fast they responded.
President Biden called me 3 times on Saturday.
$4 million is in the Team Western Kentucky Fund, and he says the first expenditure will be able to help with funerals.
We're going to be providing $5,000 in burial expenses for each family that has lost a loved one.
The single worst spot was feared to be a candle factory in Mayfield, where there were more than 100 people reportedly working. Now they are telling us that they have confirmed that 8 people died there. The company has told the state that 94 have been accounted for and are alive. They are still waiting to confirm those numbers. At the state capitol in Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, there were 8 confirmed dead in the candle factory, where at one time they feared the number alone could have been more than 100. State emergency officials say at least 26,000 people remain with power, but a lot of headway has made Sunday with restoring cell phone service in the area. Senator Mitch McConnell talked about the disaster on the Senate floor Monday, saying, quote, "The tornadoes that hit Kentucky this past weekend were some of the most widespread, severe, and devastating in our state's history. It is still difficult to comprehend the vast scope of this storm, even in the face of such tragedy. We can be confident that Kentucky will bounce back. We are strong, we are united. We will come back bigger and better than ever before," end quote. President Joe Biden is traveling to Kentucky Wednesday to survey damage from the tornadoes and severe storms. The administration has already set up federal disaster centers in some of the hardest hit areas. President Biden says they will be working alongside state and nonprofit organizations. He says they will be as long as it takes to get these areas up and running again.
We talked about how we can accelerate and expand federal assistance to those in desperate need. And you saw, I mean, some of you have been there and you've seen, you've been reporting on television, you know, the devastation, you know, before and after. And this is Mayfield, Kentucky. I mean, it's just devastating. And we've already approved an emergency declaration and a major disaster declaration for Kentucky. I've spoken with the governor several times thus far. And this gives me the tools to provide everything that we can in the from the federal level.
The White House says the Federal Emergency Management Agency has already delivered dozens of generators, 30,000 meals, 90,000 water bottles, 4,500 blankets, and 2,100 cots to families in need. Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Charles Booker joined WYMT anchor Steve Hensley yesterday on Issues and Answers. Among the topics was his trip yesterday to see some of the destruction left behind in western Kentucky. Booker said even though he is not from that part of the state, he views all Kentuckians as family and wanted to show up for them.
I wanted to make sure that my campaign postponed our political activity and started focusing all of our resources, all of our volunteers, all of our fundraising towards relief for our family across western Kentucky.
Now you can watch their conversation on a wide variety of topics at WYMT.com. People across the Commonwealth are looking for ways to help victims of 5 tornadoes in Kentucky that killed at least 74 people. One way to do that is by donating blood. Officials from the Kentucky Blood Center say that there has been a critical need for blood all during the pandemic. But as Jim Stratman reports, tragedies make that need all more important.
In the wake of tragedy, people tend to come together, looking for ways to give. And the Kentucky Blood Center was one of the recipients.
You know, people are wanting to do whatever they can to help, and certainly that's needed to replenish the blood supply.
Mandy Brawa with the Blood Center says that she's seen donation appointments double since those tornadoes touched down.
Very quickly, a group of community blood centers that are part of a task force for disaster relief went to work and got blood where it was needed. That's what the system's built for, and it worked perfectly.
The Kentucky Blood Center was able to send blood to 2 hospitals in Paducah, while their partner, Blood Centers of America, provided over 100 units to Vanderbilt Hospital.
The good news is this: all the blood needs have been met at the hospitals in western Kentucky.
Brawa says that being able to respond to a tragedy when it happens, like these tornadoes, is very important, but it's also equally important to be prepared for the next tragedy to strike.
We've been dealing with critical blood supply shortages throughout the pandemic, and so when a disaster strikes, it makes that even a little scarier because suddenly now there's a need for blood elsewhere, and we're dealing with a really low supply here. These tragedies happen, unfortunately, but it's the blood that was on the shelves. It was the donors who came in Thursday, Friday, Wednesday of last week that were able to help in that tragedy. And if the blood's not on the shelves when the tragedy happens, we can't impact victims and help people recover.
Brawa says that they are prepared to send more blood to western Kentucky hospitals if they need it. Reporting in Lexington, Jim Stratman, WKYT.
Well, if you'd like to schedule an appointment to donate, we'll have information on how to donate over on our website at WYMT.com. And if you want to plan ahead, we will be having a blood drive here at WYMT on January 3rd from 3 until 7 p.m. Neighbors helping neighbors. That is the attitude we are seeing here in eastern Kentucky in the wake of the devastating tornadoes in western Kentucky. Yesterday, the Perry County community came together at the Senior Citizen Center at Perry County Park to collect donations for families and first responders. Blankets, shoes, food, water, and baby supplies are just some of the things people had to offer that were loaded into a 53-foot long semi-truck. For the volunteers bringing supplies, days like this show what Kentuckians are all about.
Our community coming together, because this is what it's about. It's about community. We're all Kentuckians, so we all pull together to help each other out.
Now, Walmart made a large contribution, and the truck was volunteered for the cause. The donations traveled to western Kentucky yesterday.
6:10 here on this Tuesday morning. I think about that for a second. Tuesday morning almost felt like a Monday. We're seeing some cool temperatures out there to start the day. We're looking at 20s, 30s, and 40s as we cross the region. Some warmer air there in the Big Sandy and parts of the Kentucky River, mainly in those higher elevations there like Logan and Prestonsburg and Pikeville, all at 36 and 37. Wise and Jackson in the 40s. Everybody else down to the south, though, in the 20s there, like 23 in Jonesville and 24 in Monticello. 60 this afternoon or close to it. Mostly sunny skies. Winds will start to pick up just a little bit out of the southwest. That should help push us up toward that 60-degree marker, maybe just a little bit better. Sunny skies give way to some more clouds by the time we get into tomorrow and Thursday, and then some heavy rain possibilities on the way for the end of this week, at least the potential for that. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. More news is on the way here at 6:11. When we return, millions of electronic devices worldwide could be in danger from a newly revealed software vulnerability.
Are you